Levack and Goss here with you on 104.5 The Team, and joining us now on the phone lines, he's covered Major League Baseball for over 3 decades. You may have seen him as a guest on Around the Horn on ESPN, part of the interruption. It is Richard Justice, now MLB.com correspondent. Let's start with the New York Yankees and their rookie phenom, Aaron Judge. His season is historic right now. He's going for a triple crown almost in his rookie season. Can you compare his rookie season to any athlete you've covered in over your 3 decades of covering Major League Baseball?
Well, no, because the best players I've seen, Barry Bonds, Ricky Henderson, Dave Winfield, they weren't at this as quickly as this kid has been. And it's a pretty cool thing for baseball that the Yankees would have this large figure who hits the ball out of sight. It's good for everybody. It's been amazing to watch.
Do you believe the Yankees versus Astros series coming up here starting tonight is the battle between the 2 best teams in the American League?
Yeah, I think the Astros, they both have some stress right now, some uncertainty. The Astros have had 4 starting pitchers on the disabled list. They haven't been getting, I think in their last 12 games, they've gotten 6 innings out of a starter once. They have no idea when their number 1 guy, Dallas Keuchel, is going to be back, really. And same thing with the Yankees. As long as Sabathia is hurt, Michael Pineda's been inconsistent. But when you look at we're in an era now where there are probably not that many perfect teams. So when you look at the whole, the weaknesses versus the strengths, they're really good. I think Cleveland has a chance to be really good before this thing is over with. And I think Boston's got to get Rick Porcello and David Price straightened out. So, yeah, I mean, today, yes, but when we're talking about the rest of the season, and then when we're talking about October baseball, which is a completely different animal, the math sort of changes a little bit.
Let's go back to that comment you just had there about Dallas Keuchel. He was a guy who was running away with the American League Cy Young Award, and the return of Keuchel still up in the air. What type of impact can that have for Houston when a Cy Young caliber pitcher may not be back till when, September or even the playoffs?
Yeah, they had co-aces. They had Lance McCullers and Dallas Keuchel, who have been tremendous. I think they're 23-3 when those 2 guys pitch. Pinched nerve in the neck. This is the second time he's on the disabled list with it. Came back too soon the first time, so he's taking it very slow. He hasn't even thrown from a mound yet. He says if this was a playoff game tomorrow, he would pitch the game tomorrow. But maybe that's more his heart speaking than his brain. Hopefully, in a best-case scenario, they're taking it slow. They want him to be completely asymptomatic because they've told him a pinched nerve in the neck is pretty close to the arm and the shoulder, so you have to be very cautious about it. I think if they knew today that their number 3 starter, Charlie Morton, and their number 1 guy, Dallas Keuchel, would be back after the All-Star break because they have 12.5 games in the standings to play with, they wouldn't feel the pressure to go get a starter. Right now, it's they feel pretty intensely that they need to go get another starting pitcher. Problem with that is it's not trade season, and all the American League teams are still in contention.
Levack and Goss here with you on 104.5 The Team, and joining us on the phone lines, he's covered Major League Baseball for over 3 decades. It's MLB.com's Richard Justice.
Injuries seem to impact both these teams. When, or if at all, will we ever see this Astros team back to full strength?
Really full strength. Lance McCullers is back. Charlie Morton, their number 3 starter, I think will be back next week. And so then it comes down to Dallas Keuchel. Their projected number 3, 4 guy. Colin McHugh hasn't thrown a pitch this year, but he's pitching in spring training. So they have a chance. I think if they knew that on, let's say, August 1, they would get Keuchel back at Dallas Keuchel level. They go to the playoffs last year, the Astros do, if Keuchel and McCullers are healthy in September, and they weren't. So that's the timetable is sometime in July, and who knows.
A feel for this Astros fan base, because I know here in the Yankee area, the capital region, if the Yankees go off and sweep the Astros, it's going to be a party next week for us here in the 518 because people are going to be thrilled that they took down the American League's best. For Astro fans, with such a big lead there in the division, how are they feeling right now? Could any loss leading up to the All-Star break not even affect the fan base?
No, I think they're scared. I say to people, they complain about the bullpen or this or that, and I say, okay, 54-26. I said, you okay with that? And they just shake their head like they can't believe it. When you're a sports fan and you're intense about it, you live in a constant state of waiting for the other shoe drop. Charles Kratheimer of the Washington Post has a great column today about that the sting of defeat much outweighs the thrill of victory, and I think that's true. So you just, I would tell people, enjoy it. When the Boston Celtics were really good a few years ago, more than a few years ago, Bob Ryan wrote this column about Bird, Parrish, and McHale. Basically, it said, shut up and enjoy it. It's never going to be this good again. So that would be my message to Astros fans.
Richard, the All-Star game is getting closer and closer. The new no home field advantage rule that they implemented this year, how big of an impact do you think that'll have on the game?
I hope it means that everybody has to play through the last day in September. We've really evolved on this thing. A couple of years ago, the Yankees, way more than a couple of years ago, the Yankees really didn't care. They coasted the last week because they said wild card series, wild card team, division champ doesn't make any difference. So the one thing they've done now with two wild card teams is you need to win your division. You don't want a one-game winner-take-all series. And now you have the advantage of you can determine your own fate in terms of home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So I think it makes it a little more interesting. But when you get to the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is what we're talking about, you have to balance. How important is home field advantage versus we got to have everybody rested and ready and lined up and prepared to pitch in October.
Not just the All-Star game coming up, but also the Home Run Derby, and Aaron Judge has just been so good for the Yankees this season. If Yankee fans get to watch Aaron Judge in the Home Run Derby, they're going to be thrilled, but some baseball people have pointed and said the Home Run Derby can slow down a hitter for the rest of the season. If you're advising Aaron Judge, do you tell him to participate in this year's Home Run Derby?
100%. And I think Clay Bellinger is going to participate. Think about it, these two rookies could be the MVPs of both leagues, the way they've been going. I would say yes. You're going to be on center stage. It's competition. You're going to love it. Don't overthink it. The one guy I've heard say it messed him up for the whole season was Lance Berkman in 2004. But the Home Run Derby has become such a spectacle that you think about the show we have seen from people like Jock Peterson, Prince Fielder, Josh Hamilton. Todd Frazier wins it in his hometown. It is great to watch. I would say go have fun, enjoy it, and don't overthink it.
Richard Justice joining us here at MLB.com. 3 decades he's covered Major League Baseball, and you may have also seen him on the ESPN shows Around the Horn and Pardon the Interruption. For the sports fans here in the Capital Region, you've been a guest on those shows before. What's something that maybe the viewing audience doesn't know that's a little secret, behind-the-scenes thing about both of those shows?
Well, Pardon the Interruption is... people always ask me, what are Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser like? I worked with them for 16 years, I think it was, at the Washington Post, and that is exactly who they are. They're two smart guys, and the key is that they did that show standing up in the office for 10 years. And it's exactly who they are. The people you see on that screen, exactly what they are. And the secret, I think, is they are very smart guys. And even when they're harsh on people, it doesn't come off as mean-spirited at all. And that's who they are. They're two guys that like to laugh, and they are really, really smart.
Richard Justice, MLB.com. Richard, appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.